exciting victory for us, a very necessary one. Didn't get the type of fluid start we needed. I think we're 0 on possession downs offensively in the first half. The punting component created short fields and so forth. They won the battle of field position. Their special teams was better than ours. But in spite of all of those things, I just thought that the guys continued to fight. The turnovers leveled the playing field in the second half and provided the short fields for us. And that was the catalyst for us to go ahead and secure victory. Appreciative of all the efforts. I like the way the guys collectively smiled in the face of adversity. We'll be thankful for this win. That's a really good football team we played and we're able to beat today. Hopefully there's some growth associated with conquering challenges like that. We're going to need it, obviously, as we go on the road next week. But we're appreciative of this win today. We're going to savor it. We don't take any of it for granted. It is the national. Be ready next week. From the injury standpoint, Wormley had a groin, wasn't able to continue. Pat is in the concussion protocol. We'll see where that leads us. Questions?
Okay, please raise your hand if you have a question for Coach. We'll go right down the line. Jerry, go ahead.
Mike, the turnovers, you took the ball away 4 times, and even though you no touchdowns, but you at least scored 4 times off those. How significant was it to take advantage of those when you got them?
Field positioning in a game like that is real. They won the battle of field positioning in the first half, primarily because of our punt team and ineffectiveness of our punt team. We won it in the second half because of the turnover game, and really it's probably the difference in the game. And so the turnover game was significant.
Brooke Breyer?
Yeah, Mike, it looked like after one of those late hits on Ben that you talked with officials. Were you unhappy with the way that they were officiating? It looked like you took some extra contact after the whistle.
I was.
Like contributions, you guys couldn't talk about it.
I'm appreciative of their efforts. We had some guys available to us that were working their way back from injury. TJ and Alex, Joe Hayden, Robert Spillane, but none of those guys were going to be able to play a 60-minute game, and so we rotated a lot of people. So we got efforts from guys like the guys you mentioned, and also Witherspoon and some others were able to bridge the gap for us, and it was very necessary.
Mike Pursuta.
Mike, what did you see from your run defense relative to what you saw in Minnesota, and what's the expectation or the reality that can get better at this point in the year?
I still think we had some lapses in gap control, but the lapses in gap control were 6- and 7-yard runs as opposed to some of those in Minnesota. So I don't know that we were any better, to be honest with you, from a gap control standpoint. We just minimized some of the explosion plays when they did break, and you got to tip your cap to Minka. I don't know how many tackles he had, but as a middle of the field player, there were several times where I thought his tackling was big and covered up some lack of gap integrity.
Chris Carter.
Mike, in addition to your run defense, your pass defense was able to take away a lot of different parts of the field from Ryan Tannehill. You talked about his arm being a factor in this game. How did you feel about your secondary's performance to try and neutralize what the Titans do?
I was appreciative of our performance. They were working short in some of their perimeter weapons, with 11 and then 2 going down in game. And so, to be honest with you, that was expected and needed. We had to dominate that component of the game given the people that were available to both sides.
Mark Caboli.
Mike, I wonder about the decision at the end of the first half of not calling a timeout and basically running out of time there at the end for Boswell.
I was more concerned with stopping them than I was with creating a drive opportunity for us. I wanted them to make decisions on going from second down to third down on time unless they burned one of their timeouts. They chose not to, and so the clock ran. We can get excited about subsequent drives, but you got to get the stop first, and I didn't take that for granted.
Alan Saunders.
Mike, how frustrating is it to only be able to come away with field goals when you get those sudden change opportunities? And where did you feel like your offense was struggling in those chances?
You know, I thought our struggles, particularly in the first half, were on possession downs, but that struggle was teed up by penalties. You know, pre-snap penalties, false starts, and so forth. We weren't able to gain any type of cohesion because we were losing possession downs. I think we were 0 for 6. Not overly frustrated with settling for field goals in the turnover game because largely globally we had the momentum. My issues were with the possession down football in the first half, particularly teed up by pre-snap penalties that put us behind the chains.
John Lydon.
Yeah, Mike, I know it was not singularly just Joe Hayden, but what can you say about what his presence meant today and obviously coming up with probably one of the biggest plays of the game?
It's not just his playmaking. It's the presence that he brings. He's got leadership skills. He's got great experience. He smiles in the face of adversity. That's contagious. There was some tangible and intangible quality to his presence today.
Will Graves.
Mike, you talked about the pre-snap stuff. I mean, we're in week 14 here. Why does this stuff keep happening?
Because we got issues.
Well, how do you fix them?
We come to work on tomorrow, and we will.
Anybody else? Raise your hand. John Lydon, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, Mike, obviously there's still a path. You guys still have 3 games left, but taking a look, what can a win like this do? I know Keith Butler mentioned on, what was that, Thursday, just about the runs, you know, maybe a win like this can help set the path forward for.
We won this one. We're getting singularly focused for the next one. We're not, you know, diagnosing big pictures. No need to. We take care of business in stadium. We don't have to look around. We got 3 AFC games left, 2 of which are AFC North games. And so all we need to do is focus on the stadiums that we're in. That's the message.
All right. Thanks, Coach.